big win for the Liberty, their third straight to start this season, 91-80 at the Barclays Center over the Indiana Fever. And I'm joined by the great WNBA insider, Khristina Williams, and Myles, Ehrlich, team beat reporter. Guys, this was a great win for the Liberty. The offense is looking really good. And Khristina, they got off to such a good start offensively this season. What have you seen that they've been doing thus far?
I mean, I think that last year what JJ pointed out was that the team was just getting to learn each other on offense and their spots and what they like to do. And so learning from that experience, this year they're more connected on the court, and you can see that through how the offense is more free-flowing and how they're able to get to their spots, and everyone's eating. 5 players finished in double figures tonight. And so I think that they're just playing more connected than ever.
Yeah, they've been looking way more connected. And when you talk about that connectivity, you see that translate in terms of fast break points, right, guys? And Myles, I know this is something that you've been on. You've seen how this team has played very well in transition, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, and I think it's come through not just today where the Liberty outscored the Fever 28-2 in those transition points, but it's also all 3 games so far. They've given up a total of just 12 points across the 3 games. And I asked JJ about it post-game, and she said it's really important, and it comes back to that cohesion, that connectiveness, all those C words that you keep going back to, that chemistry. But she says what they're doing is they're building a wall behind the ball, and they're finding those matchups in transition. And I think that just helps them reset, settle in, and then be opportunistic the other way.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that here. And one of the great things about the atmosphere here today at the Barclays Center, which was a sellout, Caitlyn Clark was in the building here in New York for the first time to play against the Liberty. Clark struggled a bit in the first couple of games in the W, but had her season high, career high, 22 points today. What do you like about how she's settling in right now in this league?
I think more than anything, every game, especially early on, is going to be a learning adjustment, a learning curve for Caitlyn Clark, because this is a season where the schedule is very condensed and there's little to no practice for these teams. So I think that she's taking every game one game at a time, and she even said in the pregame that she's learning from the vets. So I think that now we're seeing her start to settle in, start to adjust, and not be too hard on herself. And I think that JJ said in the press conference we have to give her grace, right, in the media, because there's so much pressure on her to be the Caitlyn Clark that we see in college, and that's just not going to be the case in the W, because her role is evolving on her team in the Indiana Fever. So
yeah, her role is absolutely evolving right now, and this Liberty season will continue to evolve, guys. This week, competition is going to get a little bit tougher. They got the Seattle Storm in on Monday, Chicago Sky, then out to Minnesota. So I want to ask for both of you, what is something that you're going to be keeping your eye on with this Liberty team this week in the next 3 games?
I think it's just continuing to build that chemistry with the second unit, because the 5 starters returned last year, but this second unit, most of them didn't even get to training camp until it was basically over. And they started the season with 3 games in 5 days. That'll be 4 and 7 when they face the Storm on Monday. So it's really just building and building, and we're seeing Sandy Brondello kind of play with those rotations a bit. But one player that has stood out with that second unit is Niara Sabali, who's been up and down. She's running the court so well going back to that transition. But a couple of steals and blocks today. She looks great, but it's just going to be to build that chemistry up.
You know, that C word, chemistry. Khristina, I know you love that. Is that something else that you'll be keeping your eye on with this team over the next week?
Absolutely. I think Myles hit the nail on the head when he talked about the second unit, just how they're going to gel in general. A lot of them missed the first half of training camp, but also how the Liberty as a whole unit, how they can continue to build on as a team, especially with those rotations and minutes, the heavy minutes that the starters in the core 5 is playing. I'm just excited to see how this team continues to be fluid in their offense, but also on the defensive end as well. We're seeing, even through these 2 games with the Indiana Fever, how they've improved defensively, especially on the perimeter, which was an Achilles heel for them last season. So I'm looking at the defensive end for this Liberty team and how they can improve game after game.
All right, defense is what can win championships. We'll see how they can improve. A 91-80 victory once again for the Liberty over the Fever here today at the Barclays Center. Khristina Williams, Myles, Ehrlich, Dexter Henry signing off.